Connecting live video.
Wouldn't it be better if you put her someplace?
You mean an institution? A madhouse?
You just found the marble in the oatmeal. You're a lucky, lucky, lucky little boy. Do you know why? You get to drink from the fire hose! Okay, you ready? Open wide! I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
Hey, you want to see crazy?
You really are crazy.
I don't get it, Doc. I mean, how can all this be happening? It's like we're in hell or something.
No, it's Hill Valley, although I can't imagine hell being much worse.
Now you want to get nuts? Shut up, you freak! Come on! I said shut up! It's a madhouse! A madhouse!
Hello and welcome to Movie Madhouse, a podcast about films lost to the annals of time. I'm Travis Fishburne.
I'm Alex Brunel.
And this week we'll be covering the classic And You Thought Your Parents Were Weird from 1991.
Classic is a strong word to describe this film. It is a film that was made more than about 30 years ago, so I guess, yeah, time-wise, sure.
Yeah, you it classifies as that.
Yeah, it's fine. It works. Don't worry about it. It works.
Yeah.
So I'm going to just make the assumption on the part of our audience that no one has seen this movie. Unless
Well,
they
you don't
watched.
know that.
That's okay. My bad. If anybody listening or watching has seen this movie, I am sorry. I acknowledge your experience.
Yeah. Let us know if you've seen it.
Feel free to comment. So for those who have not seen this movie, take us through it a bit, if you would, Travis.
Okay, so this movie that came out in 1991 is about two kid genius inventors who have built a robot in their garage, and they are trying to sell the robot so that they can get money to save their house. Yeah. I mean, that's part of this as well.
That aspect is not reinforced as the film goes on.
No, there's so much going on that the film just kind of like goes all over the place with. But along the way, they are not. The older boy is not ready to show off the robot, and the younger one is very excited.
Well, the older one has the correct instinct of he wants the thing to be patented before they show it off.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good inventor's instinct.
Yeah, Josh Carson is the oldest, and Max Carson just goes and blabs to anybody, and including this reporter.
Yeah, mostly the news.
Yeah, she gets very nosy and tries to break in, and they discover that the robot at some point has been infested with the soul of their father.
Infested, yes, infested. I would like to just jump in and point out that the mechanics by which that happens are the robot is in a state of not quite working yet, and it's Halloween, and the older kid Josh goes to a Halloween party of this girl he has a crush on. Also, Josh is like helping to teach a computer science class.
Yeah, he shows up
in his high school.
And the teacher is like, let me know if I'm doing anything wrong, and
Yeah.
you just step in and
Like-
fix this.
All right. But so he's over at this Halloween party this girl invited him to. He likes her, she likes him, and invites him to sit down at what anybody would recognize as a Ouija board, but it's not a Ouija board. It's an oracle board, which is the same thing but Greek. And
I did not even realize that.
I can only assume it was a copyright thing because I think, it's like a Milton Bradley or Parker Brothers trademark, the Ouija board.
I did not. Well, yeah, that makes sense. I've heard, they mass produced that. So interesting.
So to humor the girl he likes, he sits down at the board and was like, do you have anyone you want to contact? He's like, no, because he's all mad about his father's death. And she's like, is there anybody that wants to contact you? And then the thing starts moving and spells out Dad. And then from across the cosmos in some kind of form, Dad zips into the body of the robot that's hanging out in the garage. That's what happens.
Yes,
Okay.
that's exactly what happens. And then, well, if you're watching this movie for the first time, without the proper context, without seeing the trailer, without actually knowing what this is about,
I didn't look up any plot things about
Yeah.
this movie before watching it.
But you still knew, like, the dad becomes part of the robot.
Yes, but to be fair, I only knew that because I just briefly read the Wikipedia article, and right in the beginning of the Wikipedia article, it says that the German title for the film was Robo-Dad.
Yes.
So Robo-Dad is kind of a giveaway.
Yeah, and by the way, the title for this film I think is terrible.
Oh, it's awful.
Robo-Dad is such a more sellable title.
It is.
I wish they would have went with that.
It's kind of too much of a giveaway, but like it doesn't actually matter. So like Robo-Dad is a much better title. Long titles are something that can be, I think, really good if the words are combined in an interesting way that draws in the viewer. But And You
makes
Thought Your
sense.
Parents Were Weird is not one of those titles.
No. Yeah, it is not. But anyway, like when the robot, gets the dad's soul inside, the robot then, we get a point of view shot of the robot going throughout the house, going into every room and creepily looking at everybody. And if you didn't know what was going on in this movie, would you be like, what is going on? The robot is suddenly sentient and it's going around just like creepily gazing at people. Is this Skynet? What's going to happen?
That was my note about in that part of the movie was Robo-Dad stalks his family in the night, but the cat knows that Robo-Dad is cool. The cat is the only person in the movie who well, no, we'll get to that. Keep going over the plot of the movie because there's stuff to talk about.
So the robot comes to life with the soul of the dad and tells the kids, don't tell your mother. She hates surprises.
Like, that's the reason.
Yeah. We cannot let her know that I'm back in robo form. So then the mother suddenly discovers the robot. I don't know why the first time she sees it, she's so surprised. I'm like, why haven't you seen this thing they've been working on for months, theoretically, in your garage?
She never stepped into the garage.
No. So then
the poster for Giorgio Moroder's version of Metropolis on the door scares her.
Yes, it does. But the robot, voiced by Alan Thicke.
TV's Alan Thicke?
Yes. Comes up with another voice to disguise himself and make himself sound more robotic. To fool the mother into thinking that he's just a dumb and yet highly advanced robot.
Unbelievably advanced. Especially for a garage robot made by teenagers.
Yes. So yeah, he's pretending to be just a normal robot that has been built in a garage for I'd say a good portion of the movie with her. All the while, there is a rival family, a father and son duo, that they are also an inventing family that do not like the Carsons and eventually try to steal the robot. So that they've been trying to steal things from this family forever. Apparently, they tried to steal Matthew Carson, who is the dad.
That's the
They
dad.
tried
That's Alan Thicke. Dead Alan Thicke.
They were trying to steal his original ideas and sell them, and they try to do the same with Newman, the name of the robot.
Right. In a one of the most kids movie puns I've ever heard it in my life. The robot is called Newman, which is new man. And it's not even one of those movies that would like just let you get that in your head and then like kind of figure it out and have a little chuckle. Like, no, there's like a scene where they spell that out in conversation, just in case anybody missed it.
Yeah. Brief tangent about something similar to that. I told you I was watching Resistance.
Yeah.
And
Star Wars Resistance.
Star Wars Resistance, and there was a mouse droid in the final episode, and its name is 5-L, and I'm like 5L. That sounds like it would be a reference. And then I thought 5L.
5L.
It's 5L.
Yeah.
So something like that, where
Something
they don't
like
spell
that.
it out. Yes, but they
did.
had to tell you.
They had a conversation about it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mom wouldn't get the puns. They had to like
No.
the 10-year-old had to explain the pun to mom.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So eventually the mom finds out that her dead husband is in the robot, and then there's some awkward scenes between them and her current boyfriend who's proposing.
Right. Right. That's a really low key plot aspect of this movie is
Yes.
that mom has a new boyfriend named Steve, who in his first appearance of the movie, I thought was like a weird predator or something.
Me too. Yeah.
Because he just like the kids are on their way home from the electronics store. They've just spent $500 on parts, and they're just riding their bikes with their baskets full of like robot parts. And this dude in like a cherry red convertible pulls up and is like, "Hey guys!" And like the older kid rolls his eyes, but the younger kid is like super psyched. And then
Yes.
cut to arriving back at home. The older kid like chose to walk his bike the rest of the way, but the littler kid got in the cherry red convertible with the man that the movie has not introduced us to yet. And then even the mom seems like kind of weirdly standoffish with him.
Yeah,
At the
like,
outset,
who,
like,
what?
why is this guy around my kids again? Seemed to be like kind of the attitude. And then they were making out like a minute and a half later. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and he's like he's letting the younger child drive the car.
Oh
Which
yeah.
is
He did do
which
that.
is that
He's
could
10.
not imagine. Yeah, some.
It wasn't
some
rural roads
yeah.
either. It was like it's the city of Los Angeles.
Yeah, it is terrible. And and also I wanted to bring up during that scene when he shows up in the car, the cut that they use. What is that? What would you call that kind of a cut?
Oh, that wipe. That like that
weird
hard
wipe.
vertical wipe. Like yeah.
They use that several times in the movie.
Yeah.
And it feels like they didn't know what they were doing, and it's like why? What?
Yeah,
Why did you cut this way? It feels like you lost footage somewhere.
Yeah, can't disagree. Weird transitions for sure. Okay, so Steve is going to propose.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we're at in the
Steve
plot.
is going to propose. And then I forget how that scene resolves when he tries to propose.
She says she needs time. No, because then he's in the plot for the rest of the movie. Oh, it's then.
Yeah.
Is it then that one of the kids comes home and they figure out that the robot's been stolen?
Well, no, because the robot's right there. The robot witnesses the proposal.
Right.
It's sometime after that. It's in the middle of the night that
that's right.
Newman gets stolen by the.
But he's still wearing his new sweater that he so carefully points out when it gets snagged on the fence later, and he has to take it off. Which is the whole arc of the new sweater. Is we know it's a new sweater, and then he loses it on a fence, and that's the arc of the new sweater.
Yeah, I do not know. But anyways, Newman gets stolen by the rivals named the Cotswinkles.
The junkyard inventors.
Yes.
They literally run a junkyard.
Yeah, they do. And so then Steve goes to help get Newman back, and as does the mom and the kids. And they end up getting out okay.
Yeah.
Everyone turns out okay.
Yeah. My note for that was what the hell? Why would anybody think a tennis ball sucker is an effective weapon against a human being?
Yeah, we can get into the details.
Nice
of that,
and tidy resolution of conflict just because the police show up and the movie fades to black.
Yes.
That's what happens.
Yeah. And then they say goodbye to their father because he says that he could only be there for a short amount of time.
Yep.
And he goes to say hello to Grandma.
Right. He does say hello to Grandma. Yeah. It's
but yeah, the reporter helps along the way, even though she's broken a lot of rules and laws, and
yeah, she's
about to,
a really dubious character who has never really gone to that place where it's like, oh no, this woman was like actively working against the interest of our protagonists, but no one ever really cares. No,
nobody like presses charges.
No,
the police never come for her. She never gets any reprimand at all.
No, not at all.
But yeah, that's pretty much the movie.
Yeah.
I should have put the plot down before
That's okay. I mean, the long. Oh, and the other actually important plot thing is that the dad, as he's possessing the robot, helps finish programming the actual AI of the robot, which is what they were hoping to achieve the whole time. So
he's able to like step aside and let Newman take over.
So at the end of it, they actually have a functional, artificially intelligent robot.
Yes,
that they have. that's that.
That theoretically they can, patent and sell a prototype to,
right? Which they do. They sell the prototype. Yeah, because dad robocalls the computer guy and like gets him to come back over. It's silly. So we have some information about this movie. Not a lot. We tried. Yeah. I have a lot of observations, but
I tried reaching out to who I thought was the director of the film.
Tony Cookson is the name of the director of this film.
And I was fooled. I was fooled by some misinformation on Google.
Yeah, Google...
I thought Tony Cookson had become a finance professor at the University of Colorado, and he had not.
And Tony Cookson has become a finance professor at the University of Colorado, because that is a person, and his name is Tony Cookson. It's just not this guy who... it was written and directed by him. He has 3 writing and directing credits to his name on IMDb. His only other credit is a special thanks in some other movie. There's a 1982 short film called Ringers, which I would just assume is his student film, like a college film. I would also assume that he went to UCLA or USC. And then there was this. It was his first feature in 1991, And You Thought Your Parents Were Weird, a.k.a. Robo-Dad. And then he made this movie called Love Happens in 1999, which is a romantic comedy starring Ken Marino, who was part of the State team and is in like the Wet Hot American Summer stuff and The 10 and other stuff that Ken Marino is in. He's in a bunch of stuff. I don't know, shows. Children's Hospital. So, and that's kind of early in Ken Marino's story as well. As a person in Hollywood, so that's kind of an interesting footnote. In my trying to find Tony Cookson, I discovered that he mounted a stage production of a musical in Los Angeles called Mutt House, which is about dogs fighting to save their local pet shelter, and it is supposed to be like a children's-oriented musical. And I did find a headshot in that article of our friend Tony Cookson right here. This is the guy, at least in 2018. So I would assume this guy is still kicking around in LA somewhere. Not entirely sure what he's up to, but I would assume he's around. The movie was made by Trimark, or at least distributed by Trimark back in the day, which got absorbed by Lionsgate at some point in the 2000s, and that's why there's a Lionsgate logo in front of it now. But it was a Trimark movie.
Alright.
I did look up the producers. The four main producers, at least it seems to me that these are the main producers, are Just Betzer, Joan Borston, Benny Corzin, and Pernille Seisby. I'm sure I butchered that one. I'm very sorry. And those people are all Danish.
Whoa, wow.
And if you looked in the the special thanks in the credits too, there's a lot of Danish people or a lot of Danish sounding things that are thanked. So I think Danish money made this movie.
That's weird.
I'm not sure why, but these people all work on stuff native to Denmark and also things about Denmark. If you just click through their stuff on IMDb, there was one person who
I'm
sounded.
sure it was called RoboDad in Denmark.
Probably.
They knew how to market their own movie.
The one guy that seemed like he was maybe an American producer that was credited on the movie. I'm assuming Mark Slater is an American name, and he's got a lot of just kind of B movie stuff to his name. I was looking and trying to find other personnel whose work I was familiar with aside from the cast, and there's not really. The composer was this guy named Randy Miller, who has a long filmography as a composer and conductor / orchestrator. He did orchestrations on Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, bunch of other stuff. Still working today, doing a lot of work. Rick Lazzarini is a puppet fabricator and puppeteer responsible for The Robot. He still does effects work to this day. Other stuff he's done includes, and this is all on puppet levels, so Nightmare on Elm Street 2 and 5, Aliens, Spaceballs, My Stepmother Was an Alien, Ghostbusters 2. He did The Dog and The Sandlot, some stuff in The Santa Claus. The reindeer in The Santa Claus. There's a miniature scene in Escape from LA where Pam Grier and Kurt Russell are puppets. He did those. Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides. He did the remake of Willard, some puppet rats in that, and he did Slimer in Paul Feig's Ghostbusters. So he's got a rich history of puppeteering, and I liked the design of the robot. Other people I noted their names of for this movie were production designer Alexandra Kisenik. I think she's Croatian, and I'm sorry for butchering pronunciation, and prop master Tony DeSalvo. I think those two people, for what was obviously not a lot of money, did a really cool job. I think very much kind of not ripping off, but very similar production design qualities to, say, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yeah.
A lot of off-the-shelf electronics with wires stuck in them and made to look like inventions. But I like that look a lot.
Yeah, you can tell that's what they're going for.
Yeah, and I think it looks cool. I think the robot looks cool. The movie does open up with this long. I love when movies do this. Back to the Future does this. It's the same opening shot of Back to the Future.
Yes, that is exactly what I told Sarah. I'm like, this is the Back to the Future opening.
Yeah, it's a long panning shot over details. It's panning and tracking all over this room, all over their garage lab, and showing you all the things they've made. There's an Ultraman action figure. It's exposition through objects while our main characters are off screen saying stuff that kind of just piques your interest about what's going on. And I always love that. I mean, there's a lot of things about this movie I liked. I don't think there's a lot of things that are that good about this movie, but that was one of them. And I also really liked how that scene was shot. I thought that I didn't note the name of the cinematographer, which is that was Paul Elliott. I thought the cinematography was pretty decent throughout the movie, especially in the opening scene. I liked that shot a lot. There was a lot of the play of contrast in that scene was really good. The movie was very competently photographed.
Gave you a lot of promise there at the beginning with that shot.
It did. It really did. I also noticed that the head of the original robot, I can say this, the head of the original robot that blows up in that opening scene was a motion detector for a home security system. That was a popular model at the time. And the only reason I know that is because that model of motion detector was in my house growing up.
Oh, interesting.
So
oh, wow.
I recognized that thing. I'm like, oh, that's in the basement by the washing machine. Yeah. That's all I got for personnel on this movie.
Then
there's cast. We can talk about cast.
Yeah.
Cast is not uninteresting.
No, I think the cast is very interesting.
So take that and run with it a bit.
Well, I think I'm not going to lead off with like the highest, most recognizable people, but I'm going to lead off with what led us to this movie to begin with.
Oh yeah,
And it's because it has Eric Walker from the Ewok movies in it.
Yeah, Mace Tawani.
And he is almost unrecognizable in this film.
Yeah. He had in the intervening 6 years between Battle for Endor and this, he had, I don't want to say something mean. So he had gained a significant amount of weight. And there was my note on my notes was I think it started with Holy Mother of God. I didn't recognize him almost at all. I at first I thought perhaps he was Bulk of Bulk and Skull from Power Rangers. Who's an actor whose name I forget. I've looked him up before. But yeah, and then I realized, oh, that is Eric Walker. Because the thing about, so he plays the son of the junkyard guy, and he's the rival child inventor, or the rival teenage inventor, this Eric Walker's character. And the thing is, like, they're played as like idiot rednecks. Like, that is the stereotype with which they chose to present these characters. Like the trailer park dwelling kind of people that run a junkyard, but are,
and have an iguana.
And have an iguana? Sure. That's a character trait. Why not? They do. But then, like, the kid's also, like, some weird savant inventor or something. But what he invented was just, like, a thing that sucked up tennis balls. Like, it wasn't even, like, interesting. It was a leaf blower with the motor reversed and a tube. So, like, and their invention that won against theirs, which is, like, the whole instigating, like, thing between that makes these two people mad at each other, was a garbage can that can move around by itself and not run over children. That was their invention that won the science contest. Yeah. So Eric Walker in, like, a really doofy, very broad role.
Yeah.
I will also say I've seen pictures of Eric Walker since this movie, like stuff from the last 10 years, and he looks a lot better now.
Okay, I was curious because it seemed like you know more about Eric Walker.
I just found like a convention picture. There was like a picture on his website from a convention, and like he looks healthier in the picture I saw on his website than he did in this movie. So that's good.
All right, so now that we got the Eric Walker part out of the way, next up I would say is Marsha Strassman, who plays the mother, Sarah Carson, and she was just like pulled. It seemed like they watched Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and they're like, we want that mom. Yeah. We want her again.
I mean, she's a great mom. She's a great mom character.
Yeah. Early 90s inventor family mom. That's what we want.
Yep. And yeah. So that's,
and she delivers there.
Yeah, I mean, she does what the movie asks her to do, but the movie asks her to do some really weird and kind of not smart stuff.
Anyway. Such as trying to seduce a robot.
Yeah, I mean,
with a big shirt.
if we're gonna, are we gonna? Should we take that moment to do the my whole tangent on her character? Well, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Do it.
So like. First out, when she thinks that this robot is just AI, she's fine immediately, not really freaked out. Like, if I feel like most people, if they were presented with a robot that seemed like it had a degree of sentience and could operate independently and hold a conversation with you, that your 10 and 15-year-old had built in the garage, there'd be like some cause for concern, or at least more cautious alarm than she presents with this unknown quantity as soon as it's presented to her. But she's just down. She's just like, okay, yeah, why not? So, yeah. And then when she finds out that the dad is inhabiting the robot, she also immediately buys that. She's
Yes.
not. And then also, something we haven't covered is how emotionally off base this movie is. Because the thing about it is the dad isn't just dead. They believe that he killed himself.
Which is not brought up until later.
No.
Like, you don't hear that until, like, then
No.
he killed himself. And you're like, what?
And it's like, whoa.
And then they
And-
explain how they think he killed himself. They think he just drove himself, like,
Just drove
into
himself
a
off a
ravine.
cliff. And
Yeah.
and Alan Thicke in A Robot explains, oh no, that was an accident. I had to avoid a skunk. Every time he says he had to avoid a skunk, it sounds like he made up skunk and he's struggling desperately to remember what his original lie was.
Oh, no.
So it's like, I like if there was an animal that caused me to drive off the road and die, I feel like I would remember very vividly what that animal was. Not the case for Mr. Alan Thicke. And then, yeah, and like you said, there's a scene where, like, the robot puts the kids to bed, and then the mom, yeah,
It's
kind of
immediately,
like, tries to seduce the robot. And like you say, she's just wearing this, like, formless pink bag shirt thing. And then the robot seems like he's going to do sex to the mom. Like, it's...
And Newman's there providing commentary, too.
Right. That's another thing I don't understand. It seems like it would be not only like a physical issue, something with circuitry or programming or something for an artificial consciousness that has been written into this robot, because like we said, the dad helps to create the actual AI.
Yeah.
And then the robot does actually become self-aware, seemingly, and like operates independently, so like it does become a version of AI. That if you're gonna have two consciousnesses inside a very early model AI thing, and not only do I think there would be some physical issues with that, I think there would be some metaphysical issues with that. I don't understand, like, that to me seems to naturally lead to a thing where the dad doesn't really know where his consciousness ends and Newman's consciousness begins, and a weird intermingling of those two things that is never addressed. I mean, like, obviously, like, you know, I can't say never addressed because it's made up bullshit science, but that seems to me what would happen. And nothing
Yes.
like that ever comes up. They just happily are two consciousnesses inside the same trash can robot. Actually, shop vac robot, not trash can
Yes.
robot. It looks like a trash can, though.
Yeah. They were obviously like, can we put Kenny Baker in there, too?
Obviously. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. So the mom character, I just don't. And then at the end of the movie, so Steve is with the whole family at the end of the movie.
Yeah, he's
and
helping out.
Is also like totally accepting of the idea that not only is AI real, number one, but number two, that spirit of dead dad, who he does not know, did not kill himself. He has not been let in on that. So to him, just suicide dad is in the robot now. And he's also just like totally cool with that. Not only is he totally cool with that, it doesn't like freak him out. It doesn't be like, oh, I'll leave you to figure this out emotionally. He's like, no, I'm just cool. Nice to meet you, Matt. They shake hands at one point.
Yeah, they do.
And then like Alan Thicke gives his blessing as he goes back off to heaven with the help of his friend Albert Einstein, which is another like weird aspect of this movie. He's friends with the people that he names as people he hangs out with in never named as heaven, but ostensibly heaven.
Yeah.
Are Grandma, Einstein, and Napoleon. Those are
That's right.
dead dad's friends. Are those three people? So yeah, just the emotional unreality of the movie is its weakest point, and it's not like you can't do a movie like this. What I'm saying is it didn't have to be that way. Like, you can just choose scenarios that aren't as totally fucking dark. Sorry for the curse. Totally freaking dark as suicide, and then treat it flippantly. Like, had the dad's death been known to be an accident, that would be like one thing. But instead, they're also trying to ravel in these feelings of betrayal and abandonment and stuff in the older son character, that just can never resonate because the idea is not treated with any weight.
Yes. Agreed.
Yeah.
It's yeah, because they have that moment where, he's still hiding the fact that he's the father.
Yeah.
And he's pretending to be Newman, and they spend this whole day and they watch old family movies, and then he like takes it out on him and he's kicking him and he's like, "Mom's a wreck because of you."
He's trying to kick apart the robot, and then he like hastily and jovially explains that no, I didn't kill myself. What are you talking about? It was an accident. Sure, I was upset because my work had just been stolen and I was mad about it for 3 days, but it was a skunk? A skunk!
Yeah, you'd think that would be info he knew. Like, it seems like the assumption by everyone is that he killed himself.
Right.
And it seems like he had like some knowledge on the family, like in the afterlife. Mm-hmm. So the first thing he should have said when he came back is like, "Boys, let me tell you, I didn't kill myself. It was."
Let me tell you, boys.
A skunk.
That would be absolutely the first thing that I would go for, is just letting my children know, no, I did not. Because like also surely, like he seems to kind of have an awareness of what's been going on Earth, so it's not like he doesn't. I feel like it's not like he doesn't know that they think he killed himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's just such a freaking bizarre aspect of the movie. I don't know if I don't know if I have more words on that. But she's also not the only character. The other people that easily accept it are
Beth, the girlfriend.
Yeah, the young girl. Is like, "Oh, your dad's in the robot." Okay, cool. And just goes with it. And the junkyard dad character is like, "Oh, I see. That's you in there, isn't it, Matt? Welcome back from the dead." It's like, excuse me? Where is this in your life experience that you're not like reacting harder than this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, this movie is low key about suicide.
Yeah, so that's about Sarah Carson, the mom character. There's also Josh Carson, who is played by Joshua Hohenmiller.
Yeah.
Hohenmiller. And he's in nothing that I'm familiar with. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
I've seen him. Films. I've seen him in some stuff. I mean, I've seen Near Dark. I don't remember him specifically in Near Dark, but I know I've seen. But I do remember him in Halloween 3: Season of the Witch. He's one of the kids.
Oh, he is in that. Okay, cool.
Yeah. And he's in River's Edge as well. He's really good. He's actually really good in River's Edge. He's a little brother character in River's Edge, and I really like him in that movie. And he's also in this other. He's in two other weird movies that I like, which are Teen Witch and Communion. Communion is a deeply, deeply weird alien abduction movie. If we wanted to do a podcast on Communion, that might be interesting. But the other thing he's in is this movie Meet the Hollowheads, which I really, really, I love that movie. It's a really weird, forgotten thing. That we may talk about on this show, but he's in that as well.
Nice.
So, yeah, that's stuff I know him from.
All right.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then Max Carson is probably most well known. He is the voice of Chucky, or the good guy dolls.
Yes.
When, it's not Brad Dourif
right.
voicing like the killer Chucky. He's
right.
the good guy doll Chucky voice.
Right. Yeah, I thought I recognized this kid like by his face. And I think I later figured out I was thinking of the older brother in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. I think they look a bit alike.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But they're not the same person.
No.
And then I realized that like, oh, this is the voice of the good guy doll. And like you actually like if you just think about that while watching him speak, it's really easy to pick that out.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a very distinctive voice.
Yeah. And then when you look at his IMDb, it looks like he did a lot of kids like voice acting for animated shows and movies.
Yeah.
And then there's also Alan Thicke.
Right.
Which,
TV's
not
Alan
really
Thicke
sure.
playing the
Yeah.
voice of the robot, which we talked about. Dad pretending to be the robot character to his wife is that was insane, right? That's like mentally unstable behavior, like that's friggin' gaslighting, right? Like that's like, you know, that's like Mrs. Doubtfire level creepiness.
Yeah, that is what it is.
Because like I've watched Mrs. Doubtfire in the last couple of years, and I think it's a really good movie. I think it has a lot of interesting stuff to say. Very different movie viewed as an adult than as a child.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, that whole relationship between him and the ex-wife. Yeah.
Like as a kid, this is a tangent, but as a kid with that movie, you watch it and you're like, what is wrong with Sally Field? This jerk of a mom. Why does she let him spend her kids spend time with Robin Williams? He's obviously awesome. And then as an adult, you watch that movie and you're like, oh, I completely understand why this is untenable. I completely.
Pierce Brosnan's such a jerk.
Right, and he's not. He's a nice dude.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's just a major tangent. But just the dad pretending, like being this character at his wife and like spending a day with her, and then she doesn't feel at all betrayed by that or like weirded out or upset. Whatever. Moving on.
Yes. I think, and then there's Beth is played by AJ Langer, which Sarah recognized. She's in My So-Called Life.
I saw that on her filmography, but I never actually watched that show, so I didn't recognize her from it. But that's cool that Sarah did.
Yeah, no. So, she's from Columbus, Ohio as well, which is,
hometown advantage.
And then Steve, the boyfriend and then fiance, is played by Sam Behrens.
Is he did you recognize him from anything? I didn't.
No, I did not. Okay. I looked him up too, and I'm just giving him credit. And Sarah also says that Steve wears mom jeans.
Steve does wear mom jeans.
Yeah, there's one shot in particular where he meets Newman for the first time, and he bends over, and the stance that he takes is just so weird and bizarre. He like sticks his butt out in this weird duck-like fashion. Yeah, it's strange.
Yeah, it is weird. That I think is probably due to that scene took place physically. It took place in this entranceway, and like that was a weird blocking issue like on set that they didn't really work to solve. Yeah.
And then Susan Gibney plays Alice Woods, the nosy reporter, and I immediately recognized her. She is in Star Trek: The Next Generation. She's only in 2 episodes, but she plays Dr. Leia Brahms, who is one of the designers and engineers who created the Enterprise. Yeah. Who
significant character.
Yeah. Geordi creates a holodeck recreation of her in the first episode she's in. It's kind of not that great of a thing that he does. He kind of like falls in love with her. And then he gets to meet the actual, he gets to meet her later, and she's not who he believes she would be based on the holodeck recreation of her. And she's married, and nothing ends up the way poor Geordi wanted it to.
Poor Geordi.
Yeah. And then she's in some other stuff too, but that was like the big claim to fame that I thought.
Yeah. And at one point, like, let's not forget, her character, to get her story that she's convinced is there, has her cameraman like videotape the mom dancing with the robot through the kitchen window. And it's also at the point that's like the dancing came before he stopped lying to her and was still pretending to just be an intelligent robot.
Yeah.
And the reporter, I also want to note, so when she first came over to try to get an interview and she goes into the garage and Max, the younger kid, jumps out in a Halloween costume. It's just like a very goofy alien costume. She is scared out of her mind. She's like shocked and then like recovers in the kitchen, and they discuss her being scared by a 10-year-old child in a furry Halloween costume.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And during the dancing scene, the line that Newman / Matthew, the dad, gives in the weird voice, like, I don't know where I got these moves, but I'm not giving them back.
I actually thought that line was really clever. I've never heard that before, and I thought that was a really clever line.
I think it was more the voice that it came out of.
Yeah, no, that was really funny. I have just random stray notes. I don't know where to put any of this stuff.
Yeah, give it to me.
First of all, it's like a miracle that this movie is available in high def. It must have, the print must have just been in a pile of stuff like library titles that was being digitized for streaming libraries and got absorbed that way. You know, because Lionsgate owns it, so they're putting it out there. It's also on Tubi, I found out.
Yes, it is.
So like,
should have mentioned that.
It's a miracle that we can watch this movie in high definition, and that it's like a decent transfer. It looks pretty good. Just that. There's a couple. I'm not going to say great, but like of the form fun montages that happen in the movie. My favorite one was the first one of where they're like really trying to get back to work on the robot, and it arrives in his final form. It's like, kids with power tools. Mom brings in the snacks. Here's an oscilloscope, doing some oscilloscope stuff. Circuit boards, you know, like.
Yeah.
I always love those scenes. I like that scene a lot. Beth, in the movie, the young girl character wants to be the future Melinda Gates so bad. She knows that Josh is like brilliant and is like just really trying to get him so hard, to the point where there's this line of dialogue where she goes, "Your garbage transporter is so cool," with like love in her eyes, and it's like really just those words were really funny. There were a couple bits of dialogue I thought were just like notable. Not long after that was, because in that scene is when Josh learns that Dad is inhabiting the robot, and he picks up a glass of juice and doesn't shatter it. And also then speaks, and then Beth leaves. Max, the younger kid, comes in. He's like, and Josh is like, "I know you programmed him to talk and like pick stuff up," and the younger brother just goes, "Have you been drinking?"
Yeah.
Like, what? The dad in that scene also says, "I've been trying to get back for a while." So the dad has been like trying to escape heaven?
I guess
that's what that implies.
He's been trying to get back to the earthly realm. He's got some unfinished business.
Guess so.
But like, what was the unfinished business? Like helping
the kids create
the
future doom of the planet in the form of artificial intelligence. The other bit, I guess this bit of dialogue was not too long after that, but as they're going to bed after they've discovered that their dad is back, Max observes, "Does he seem nicer to you? Maybe being dead has made him nicer."
Yes.
And I'm like,
that was another thing.
What an incredibly dark observation for a 10-year-old. Yeah. It's weird. When the mom meets the robot, she says, "Hello, Newman." And I looked it up, and this movie predates Seinfeld's Hello, Newman by about a year. Coincidentally,
I did not even think of that.
Coincidentally, Newman first appears in an episode of Seinfeld called The Suicide. So.
Oh, wow. Do you think the writers of Seinfeld saw this and got inspiration?
I do. I think
Newman?
the Seinfeld was directly influenced by "And You Thought Your Parents Were Weird," directed by Tony Cookson. This is an aside. My preview of the live stream died. Is that still happening?
It's still going on.
Okay.
Yep. We're still up.
Okay, cool. Great. What else do I got? Oh yeah, and another scene of just like where the emotional aspects that the movie is trying to do not work even a little bit at all are this scene where they choose to watch old family home movies with the robot. And are like reminiscing about their dad who's there in robot form, and like the kid still hasn't got out his stuff about the dad killing himself, or so he thought. And it's just like, that's weird, man. That scene was weird. And then like, yeah, and then he tells the true story of his death, like not long after that, and it's like flippant. Like we talked about that, but it's bizarre.
Well, when they're watching those home movies, it's interesting. The question the mom asks, she's like, was that your dad's second or third computer? And Newman answers third. And I'm like, who watches old movies like that? And that's the question.
Right.
That was such a strange question to
It
ask.
was. I think I picked up in context clues a little bit that that third computer was like his third computer that he had invented. And that was the model that was stolen by the junkyard people to sell to the rival computer company. So I took that eventually as meaning like his second computer that he invented versus the third computer that he invented.
Okay.
Not just like the first, second, or third computer that he ever owned, which would be a really weird way to track time.
Exactly.
And it is still weird because I had to think about it that much to try to get any meaning out of that. But I think that's what I picked up. There was this scene of them pitching the robot to a computer company in the kitchen, and the guy like makes the robot pick up a pen out of his pocket.
Yeah,
and
because they were going to have him pick up a glass, and he's like, what if that's all it does? Pick up this pen.
What if it's a
from my
glass
pocket?
picking up robot?
Yeah.
I want it to pick up a different object.
The guy is like, you can't expect him to do that. It's impossible.
And then even the kid, Josh, is like, no, that's like far too fine a motor skills for this robot to do. And they play it like it's this riveting, tense scene, and it's just dumb. But the thing that happens at the end of that scene, I think this is really funny. The last shot in that scene is just this kind of like shot of the robot. And it's just a well-framed shot of the robot with the kids standing at the side, but it's framed for the robot, so the tops of the kids are cut off. And part of the design of this robot is its ears are little microphones that stick out of out of its colander head, which I like that. I like the light that comes through the colander head. I think it looks. I like how it looks. But so like in that shot where it's just like this kind of reaction shot, leaving us on Newman for that scene, Josh is like picking at one of the microphones just like idly. Like,
I noticed that.
It's just like some little fidget thing he's doing, and I'm just like, that must be deafening for the robot. Like, what is the input?
What's going on?
How is that being deciphered by the robot? Yeah, and then like the movie stays weird at the end when Newman, like after he's been taken apart and put back together, and they ask Newman, is Dad still in there? They asks if he's alone, and he says yes. So just to set that back up, they've reassembled their robot after it had been kidnapped, and they got it back, and they had got it running again, and they got Newman's consciousness back up and asked if he was alone, consciousness-wise, and he said yes.
He knows that.
Seemed kind of sad. All right, he knows that also. Like, in his robo-consciousness can discern that there's not another entity inside. And the robot seems kind of sad. Family's sad. Family goes in the house and leaves the sad, sentient robot just sitting in the garage by itself. And then Dad magically re-inhabits it because he was asleep in a microprocessor or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then, the really weird, like, handing off of the wife to the new man when he goes back to heaven and stops inhabiting the robot. But to be fair, when he does leave Newman, it ends in a really cool video effect. It's like a real, like, analog video effect that I liked very much. It looked really cool. And then we were treated to a nice montage recap of the movie.
Yes.
Under the closing credits. And I guess the
all
ultimate,
those great moments.
All your favorite moments for the film. You know what I was baffled by about that montage? Is it actually included no visually striking moments from the film, and not even really plot points. It was just sections of the movie. It wasn't even like a condensed version of the narrative and key scenes or anything. It was just stuff. I think the ultimate lesson in this movie is that people in 1991 were not at all fazed or alarmed by the existence of AI or the spirit of a human being inhabiting a trash can robot. I think that's ultimately what the movie was trying to leave for the future, was to let us know in 1991 they were not afraid.
No, they were not.
In 2020, I'm afraid. But in 1991, they were not afraid.
Yeah. You think of like movies like this with similar plot, like, because you got Short Circuit.
There's Short Circuit
is like that, and then this is Short Circuit meets Ghost Dad.
Yeah.
We should review Ghost Dad.
I don't want to watch Ghost Dad. I have seen Ghost Dad.
Nobody's going to want to watch that anymore.
It's not even because of that. It's because I was bored by that movie as a kid. So, like, I things that didn't even engage me when I was, like, 9, I don't really feel compelled to go back and revisit now. If we're talking about Suburban Commando, we can talk about Suburban Commando till the cows come home. Do you know Suburban Commando? Do you not know Suburban?
No, I don't.
Oh my gosh. Hulk Hogan is an alien bounty hunter who crash lands on Earth, and Christopher Lloyd and his family take care of him.
Oh wow. No, yeah. Need to see that.
Yeah, that could go on this. That could go on this actually. That's a high concept children's film.
Hulk Hogan was doing a few of those.
Oh yeah, he had a few under his belt. High Noon at Mega Mountain. Mm-hmm. I think the third entry into the Three Ninjas film.
Yes.
If we wanted to talk about Three Ninjas, man, I'm good friends with a guy who is in Three Ninjas.
Oh.
I could maybe convince him to talk about it on the podcast.
Oh, that'd be great.
It's a really funny story. Yeah, he's a camera assistant. He was a camera assistant then. He's a camera operator and director of photography now. He was the second assistant camera on Three Ninjas, and eventually got promoted to being one of the 3 henchmen that terrorized the kids. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's great.
He still gets like minor royalty checks from time to time.
He should.
Like for 3 cents or whatever.
Oh man, people were like obsessed, or America was obsessed with ninjas in the early 90s.
I watched that movie so many times.
Three Ninjas, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Surf Ninjas.
Surf Ninjas. That's a real movie starring Ernie Reyes Jr. and Rob Schneider and Leslie Nielsen and like a kid whose name I don't know. But Rob Schneider has like orange hair.
Yeah.
In that movie, and is a ninja.
Oh my gosh. Surf Ninjas is going on the list.
Oh man, I had the soundtrack to Surf Ninjas growing up. I don't know why.
Oh wow,
but I did. That's a fact. Yeah. I don't know if I have more thoughts on "And You Thought Your Parents Were Weird," written and directed by Tony Cookson.
All I have is like stuff that I looked up in my attempt to find research and do the proper research on this movie. I couldn't find anything. The only thing I could find was like an old review of Roger Ebert. And Roger Ebert's review, he's just like summarizing it and saying it seems to be inspired by several different sources. And he's like sourcing all the other things that it's obviously inspired by. So
that's his review. It's like, this movie is inspired by these things.
Yes, exactly. That's all it is. And he ends the review by saying the strangest thing about it is the parents in the movie are less weird than just about everybody else.
That is, I want to say that's true, but the mom is very weird for
after you bring up for
coming on to the robot and the gaslight.
Pretending,
everyone is very weird.
It is weird, but the title of the film implies
hugely misleading.
Oh my gosh, these parents are so strange. But you watch it and you're like, I mean, everybody in this movie is acting weird.
Yeah. I feel like a movie that's of a similar ilk and a similar title is My Stepmother Is an Alien. which is 1988, and that's Dan Aykroyd and Kim Basinger. But that says what it is on the box. My stepmother is an alien. And then the movie is about a stepmother who is an alien. And that's a long title that works.
So this should have been called My Dad is a Robot.
Yeah, My Dad is a Robot. Or My Suicided Dad is Now a Robot. Or or I don't know. There could have been a lot of other titles in this movie.
Suicide Dad Robot. Just see that on the title. It's a family film.
Suicide Dad Robot. I'm also being told by the internet that John Lovitz is in My Stepmother Is an Alien, as is a child Allison Hannigan, which I did not know those things. It's been a very long time since I've seen that movie. That could be a movie. There's more information about this movie on the internet, at least, than... But you know what, man? We have some freaking how we are an hour into this broadcast talking about And You Thought Your Parents Were Weird.
Yeah,
so...
we didn't even have any news to lead off the
No.
the show. We went straight into the review.
No, this is just an hour. This is our gift to you, the internet, for future scholars of And You Thought Your Parents Were Weird. May they forever find this podcast and be like, wow, two guys did that, and now I don't have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, all I have are just like things that this film is derivative of, like inventor families.
Yeah, what else?
Like in,
what else do you have written down? What are the rest of
Honey,
your
I
notes?
Shrunk the Kids and Gremlins. I also think that Newman's design is similar. It reminds me a lot of the Batteries Not Included.
Yeah. What year was Batteries Not Included?
I want to say 88, but that's just a guess.
87.
I have no idea.
That's very close.
Okay.
I mean, personally, it's derivative of R2-D2, man. I mean, like, it's a trash can robot with a dome head. Like, every robot that's that shape is derivative of R2-D2. I think, unless someone email me and be like, no, this robot was what R2-D2 ripped off. Like, you know, I don't know. But I think it's that Ralph McQuarrie drawing, and then that became the way.
Mm-hmm.
Mick Garris and Brad Bird co-wrote Batteries Not Included.
Oh.
Huh.
Wow.
Mick Garris wrote the story. That's interesting. Mick Garris is a horror filmmaker, mostly. I mean, he's done some kids' work, and I knew that, but I didn't realize that this is one of them. Maybe most notably, he did the 1994 TV version of The Stand. Stephen King's The Stand.
Okay.
The 6-hour-long thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
But yeah. Speaking to the R2 thing, the Metropolis poster might be there to act as the C-3PO counterpart.
Yeah. I mean, like, I always like when movies do that, when there's like a movie poster for something that's like not a broad appeal movie. It's like some cult movie or some, you know, slightly to the left of center movie that's hung up in the wall of characters who seem like they would never interact with that thing in their lives.
Yeah.
But I did really like that specifically. That was the poster for Marauder's Metropolis, which I don't know. Are you familiar with what I'm talking about when I say that?
No,
Okay.
I just know the Fritz Lang.
So, well, no, it is Fritz Lang's film, but music producer Giorgio Moroder, who's responsible for the biggest thing that he's responsible for in his sound was "I Feel Love" by Donna Summer, and like that, like that kind of a bass line and a dance track and those drums and like that sound was Moroder, and he was a very popular dance producer. He also scored Scarface. He produced a bunch of albums for other people. He produced 66 Sputnik's first album. But in 1984, he did a restoration of Metropolis, which involved cleaning up available elements, restoring scenes that had been lost via still images. But most controversially and chiefly among the things he did was the film was now color tinted. Apparently, according to Fritz Lang's notes, and by color tinted I mean like entire scene, like the scenes in this place are blue, scenes in this place are green. Like it's not colorized, but like scenes are color tinted based on their location. Intertitles are removed from the movie and put in as subtitles, and the score has been replaced by 80s pop music by Pat Benatar and Freddie Mercury and Adam Ant and other.
Oh, wow.
And it's just a really bizarre version of the movie that was, I think at the time, not well received, and eventually got finally restored on Blu-ray a few years back. But it's like, it's a great, for me, it's a great time capsule of the 80s, because like a lot of things, it's the 80s. I love the 80s, and the 80s did a lot of things that I think are really interesting, but they also rehashed a bunch of stuff that was already existing. And this is a very 80s rehash of a direct, of a thing that was very much a complete work. But yeah, and it's a poster for that version from 1984. Wow.
Well, I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, I recommend it. It's also like 87 minutes long. It's a pretty,
because when you cut out the intertitles,
it's a pretty breezy watch, actually.
When you said that, I was like, oh my gosh, why don't they, like with silent films, I would love to watch them where they turn them into subtitles.
Yeah, and there's some that have releases that way, but it also goes back to like, you're preserving silent films. You have to preserve the film. But
I get it, but at the same time,
no, man, I understand, because sitting on my movie shelf next to the complete Metropolis, the restored 3-hour version, is my Blu-ray of Marauder's Metropolis, because it's a different experience that I also enjoy.
All right. But yeah, that's and you thought your parents were weird. Mm-hmm. The only other thing like I had was just the whole escape that Newman has when he's, after he's kidnapped by the Hotswinkles, and he sets the tennis ball sucker on Eric Walker's character.
Yeah.
And it's like,
he's like, I've got you now. I'm going to put this on your face, and that'll keep you out of this match.
Well, it's very, you don't know like what it did to him.
Oh,
because
right.
you just see it's coming toward him, and he screams, and Sarah's like, did it kill him?
I thought the scene actually initially kind of implied that he was trying to put it on his balls.
Oh, I did not think
because
that.
It was a machine that was built to suck balls. So I thought like maybe like Robo Dad like affixed it to Eric Walker's crotch to like suck off his testicles. Like, I don't know. And then like it cuts to a few seconds later, and like the dad is like yanking the hose off the kid's face. It amounted to like when you're a kid and like you put your mouth in the vacuum cleaner because like you're a kid and you put your mouth in things. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Things.
So that's and you thought your parents were weird.
Yes.
Probably never be talked about again after tonight.
Nope.
So everybody,
it's gonna go back in the hole. Back in the hole.
Yep. Not the vault.
Not the vault. The hole.
It's not the Disney vault.
No, and you can access the hole, but it's just, why would you?
Yeah.
There's better things to watch. But I mean, like I do want to say we've been hard on this movie. It is not without its charm. It's extremely watchable. The performances of the kids are not amazing, and they're not quite charming, but they're like totally serviceable. I think the younger kid especially does fun stuff with whatever the heck he does. And like I said, I think the design of the stuff, I really like the production design overall. I think it's well shot. It's just none of it resonates with emotions that human beings have.
No. But yeah, I knew when we were going to watch this, I'm like, I don't think this is going to be very good. But I think even if the movies we watch aren't great, I want them all to at least be entertaining.
Oh, yeah.
And I think
was
that this
entertained.
is very entertaining.
I was totally entertained. For sure.
Which that brings us to what we're going to be covering next week, which we did not confirm before we started recording.
No.
So Alex, what's it going to be?
Do you have your list in front of our list in front of you?
Let me access it here.
We've talked about. I mean, like you brought up the the Barry Levinson Robin Williams film Robin Williams film Toys, which is, I used to say this was like this was dumb that I ever said this because it was just an opinion meant to be like too stupid to be real, but I kind of thought it, which is that I used to say that my favorite movies were the 2003 remake of Willard and Toys. And to be totally fair, I think there is a lot of magic about both of those movies. I think Willard is a really, 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 it's a strong film. That's like actually a very good film that got really overlooked, and it's really unfortunate, especially to this day. It hasn't even really gotten that much of a cult following in the 17 years since its release, but it's a totally stellar Crispin Glover performance in a very weird movie, and I think it's actually really good. Toys has a lot of problems, but no other movie looks and feels like Toys.
No, not at all.
It is a completely unique visual experience, if you ask me. So, man, if you want to talk about Toys, let's talk about Toys.
I was going to say, it sounds like we're going there.
Let's do
like
Toys.
We're going to be reviewing Barry Levinson's Toys.
Yeah. And here's another thing. I will say, because I haven't seen Toys in a good number of years, and part of it is because it so fascinated me, and the world that it creates seems so impenetrable that I didn't really want to learn more about the making of the movie for a long time, because I wanted to leave that world alone and just have Toys. But I think as a person in his mid-30s now, I am of a strong enough emotional fortitude to unearth the secrets of Toys and learn them and dissect it a little bit more. So I'm excited for that opportunity.
Awesome. So now I'm trying to look up how we tell people to watch Toys.
Is Toys not streaming?
I just clicked on Amazon's link for it, and it says our agreements with the content provider don't allow purchases of this title at this time.
Oh my!
This title is currently unavailable.
That
I can't believe it.
Horrible. How are we going to talk about Toys if it's? Yeah, it's. I looked it up. The website I use to find out if movies are streaming is called justwatch.com.
Oh,
and,
okay.
Like if it's anywhere, it'll tell you where it is and you know if it's a subscription service or whatever. And what it says is, "Oops, we couldn't find any streaming offers." So
what? What are we gonna do?
Is Toys on YouTube?
Let's see.
Because it was a. What studio put out Toys? We're just riffing.
Fox.
We're riffing, people. Oh, so it's a Disney film now.
I can tell you Fox. I remember that VHS with the Fox stuff at the beginning.
That sounds correct.
So maybe it's, That could be something going on with Disney.
Well, I mean, they own it now, so...
Yeah.
Is this actually
Whoa.
it?
We might be looking at the same thing here. I don't know.
I did...
I seem to be... Oh.
This is a version of it on YouTube, but to get around the YouTube robots... You know what? I'm just going to full screen this and broadcast it for a sec, just to show people what it's doing. So it's like... Number one... oh, no, wait. That's the wrong... Number one, the image is reversed.
They have to do that? Yeah. That makes sense.
And number two... They keep cutting all over within the frame into different angles, and it's actually like visually impossible to follow what's going along.
It's to keep the bots. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so like this is like a totally weird remix version of the film that I would like to know, did this person spend time creating this, or did they like somehow automate the creation of like this file that does these weird jump cuts? So like I don't know, man. That's weird. I don't know if people can watch Toys.
Oh no.
So what I need every single one of you people listening to do is to go to your nearest video store and ask them how you can watch Toys.
There's a VHS over at my parents' house.
So yeah, I have a DVD here. I want to talk about Toys though. I mean, like people like figure it out, like reactivate your Netflix DVD subscription, or read a plot synopsis enough times until you feel like you've seen it. But we're going to talk about toys.
Okay.
I'm just making it so.
Cool. Awesome. Wow.
Yeah, look at this.
I cannot believe.
Look at this great picture of Robin Williams with this robot. This is great. This is wonderful.
I'll see it here in a few seconds.
Yeah. What a wonderful robot. It's great. Anyway. Yeah, so we'll talk about this movie and people will use their you know what? Here's something I bet. I bet you could buy a used DVD on Amazon for like 92 cents. Let's find out. This is not good content. I am.
Yeah, I'm probably going to be doing some editing later.
Yeah, do some editing. Never mind. Watch toys. Figure it out. You're all smart people. You're on the internet. Figure it out.
Do it.
Yeah.
All right. So next week we're going to be reviewing Toys, the Barry Levinson film. It is currently not streaming anywhere. You cannot purchase it anywhere. Please try to find it.
It's possible that Amazon does not sell the DVD.
I see that now.
This is weird.
I cannot believe this. But anyway, we're still reviewing it.
Used copies are $30 on eBay.
Oh, wow.
I hope I didn't get rid of my DVD. Wow. Okay. Sorry. What's going on with the market for toys?
It's not your fault.
We'll talk about it next week.
Yeah, we'll be doing some research on what's going on there.
Yeah, that's so weird. Okay. All right. So till then.
Yeah. So until next time, next Monday, Alex, where can people find more of your work?
You know what? I'm gonna say check out Misbits. That's MISBITS .bandcamp.com, or at least, well, first of all, Bandcamp is having another one of their all profits go to the Artist Days. That's coming up on June 5th. And if you buy our actual record, it's a 12-inch record and it's beautiful and it's like very affordable at $15. You will be supporting us directly, and there won't be a cut taken by Bandcamp. And also, we're going to have a new EP coming out pretty soon. That's just going to be a free-to-download thing. So misbits.bandcamp.com is where you can check out my work.
Nice.
What about you?
You can find the podcast Who Watches Pod on Twitter. We are on Facebook, obviously, on Instagram and YouTube. You can find us wherever you find all your favorite podcasts. Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, all the good ones. Please subscribe, leave reviews, leave us feedback. It's all really greatly appreciated. And so until next time, find a way to watch toys and stay safe, stay sane, and stay smiling.
Hello, Newman. Hello, Newman. Hello, Newman. Hello, Newman.
Newman.
Hello, Newman. Hello, Newman. Hello, Newman. Hello, Newman. Hello, Newman. Hello, Newman. Hello, Newman.
Hello, Jerry.
Hello, Newman. Hello, Newman.
Hello, Jerry.
Hello, Newman. Hello, Newman.
So this is Newman.